Right now, you might think buying just one XRP is super easy. It costs only a few dollars, you can get it on almost any crypto exchange with some extra money in your pocket. But what if I told you that soon? Owning even one single XRP could become something that 99% of people in the whole world will never be able to do? I know it sounds like an over-the-top headline, but a big hidden change is happening in the way the world's money system works. This change could make my warning come true. And we are not just talking about the price going way up. We are talking about a real shift in how money travels around the planet. You see, there are 100 billion XRP tokens. That is the number people always mention when they want to say XRP will never be worth much. They look at the total supply and think there is just too much of it. It feels common and cheap. But that number is actually a trick that hides the real problem. The real problem is about how much XRP is actually easy to buy and use right now. Most of those tokens are not just sitting around waiting for anyone to grab them. A huge part is locked away in escrow by Ripple. Another big part is held by early big holders who have not touched their coins for more than 10 years. But the biggest supply shock is not even from people holding it tight. It comes from what XRP was built to do. Think about the water pipes in your house. You do not think about them until something goes wrong. XRP is like those pipes for the world's money system. It is the oil that makes the global money engine run smooth. When banks start using XRP to send money across borders, they are not buying it to keep forever like you and I might. They are using it as a quick bridge. They need a ton of it to move billions of dollars in just seconds. If the whole world's money system starts running on the XRP ledger, that 100 billion supply starts to look very small. We are talking about replacing a system like SWIFT that moves about $5 trillion every single day. To move that much money with a bridge asset, the bridge needs to be worth a lot or there simply will not be enough XRP to go around for everyone. This is where the warning about 99% of people starts to make real sense. For years, regular people like us have been the main owners of XRP. We went through the lawsuits, the bad news, and the times when the price did not move. But that time when regular people mostly owned it is ending soon. Now big institutional players are coming in. They do not care about your dreams of huge gains or fancy cars. They care about making things faster and cheaper. Ripple has been building all this setup so these big players can take over the network. You have probably heard about RLUSD, Ripple's new stablecoin. A lot of people thought that meant the end for XRP. They wondered why anyone would use XRP if there is now a stablecoin. But most people do not understand how a bridge really works. The stablecoin is like the container that holds the value. XRP is the fuel and the connector that makes it move. By adding RLUSD, Ripple is making it easier for banks to use the XRP ledger without worrying about price ups and downs themselves. They use the stablecoin for the steady value, but the XRP ledger does the fast settlement. And every single time a transaction happens on this ledger, a tiny bit of XRP gets burned. It disappears forever. Now picture millions of transactions happening every hour once the world's banks start moving money this way. The supply does not just stay big, it actually starts getting smaller. And the big players will not buy their XRP from regular crypto exchanges like you and I do. They will get it from huge, deep liquidity pools. The XRP you hold in your wallet today could become like a golden ticket to a system that is getting closed off from everyday people. Why will 99% of people never own even one XRP? It is not only because the price might go up a lot, it is because the whole system is set up to make most people sell before the big change happens. Our minds are the biggest thing that stops us from getting rich. We have seen this same pattern many times before. When the price of XRP finally starts to climb fast, most people will sell. If you bought at 50 cents and it hits $5, you might feel like a genius and sell to pay off your car or house. But then it keeps going to $50, $100, and even $500. By the time the real big institutional moves happen, regular people will have already sold their XRP to the big banks. The banks really want your XRP. They need it for their own liquidity pools. They will use every trick, scary news headlines, price drops, and long, boring times to make you let go. Right now, we are in a time that tests your patience. The people who truly get it know that XRP is not like a regular stock. It is not even like Bitcoin, which many see as digital gold. XRP is a key piece of the new global money system. If you owned a small part of the internet's fiber optic cables back in 1995, you would not have sold them just because the price stayed flat for a few years. You would have known the whole world was still getting connected. That is exactly where we are with XRP right now. Let us talk about the simple reason why experts say owning one XRP will become a luxury. It comes down to how the world sets the value of things. The world is moving away from the old slow ways. The US dollar and other old currencies face problems like inflation that eats away at their value. The old money system is slow, expensive, and outdated. If XRP becomes the main bridge for moving money around the globe, its price will not be set by regular people guessing anymore. It will be set by all the huge value it has to carry. If the world needs to move hundreds of trillions of dollars every year and only a few billion XRP are actually ready to use, the math will push the price to numbers most people cannot even imagine. At that point, XRP will not be something you can just buy on a weekend. It will mostly be held by central banks, giant companies, and big wealth funds. For a regular person to own even one full XRP would be like trying to own a piece of the secret code inside the old SWIFT system today. It just will not be for sale to everyone. I have to stop for a second and say I am not a financial advisor. This video is only for fun and learning. The crypto market is wild, and you could lose all your money. Do your own research and talk to a real expert if you can. Your money is your own responsibility. The warning we are talking about is based on one clear future where Ripple succeeds, the XRP ledger becomes the world standard, and the big money players fully adopt it. The signs are pointing that way, but nothing is ever 100% sure. You have to be okay with the risks if you want the possible rewards. One thing people often miss about XRP is the automated market maker, or AMM. This is a big new update to the XRP ledger that lets anyone add liquidity and earn some back. But think about what that does to the amount of XRP that is free to buy. When you put your XRP into an AMM, it is now working hard as part of the system. It is not just sitting on an exchange ready to sell in one click. As more people and big institutions add to these liquidity pools to earn yield, the free supply of XRP for new buyers gets even smaller. We are heading toward a liquidity black hole. The more the network gets used, the more XRP gets pulled out of the open market and locked into these working roles. That creates a real supply shock. It is not just that people are holding. The asset is busy doing its job, so it is not available for casual buying and selling. If you want to stay ahead of these changes and learn how the AMM and big institutional bridges work, we talk about this every day in our community. We have a free educational Discord where we follow these assets and the smart money moves live. It is a good place to cut through all the noise and focus on the real facts. And if you want a more step-by-step way to learn everything from ledger details to big picture economics, check out cheekycool.com. That is where we have deep courses for people who want to do more than just watch from the side. I will put the links in the description below for both the free Discord and cheekycool.com. There are even several completely free courses on Cheeky School, so go check them out. Now we have to talk about the bad guy in this story. For years, the SEC was the main enemy. They sued Ripple. They said XRP was a security and basically slowed down its growth in the United States while the rest of the world kept moving ahead. But was the lawsuit only a court fight, or was it also a smart delay on purpose? While regular people were busy with the court papers and Twitter fights, Ripple was quietly opening offices in places like Dubai, Singapore, and London. They were making partnerships with central banks in Ireland and the National Bank of Georgia. They were building bridges for the global south. The lawsuit worked like a filter. It scared off the weak hands and kept out big money that has to follow strict rules. But now that the legal picture is clearer, the doors are opening wide. The warning is that the cheap and easy time to buy XRP happened during all that confusion and slow, boring days. Once the confusion ends and the price starts showing the real truth, there simply will not be enough XRP for everyone to own some. There is a theory that used to sound like a crazy idea, but is now talked about in serious money circles. It says XRP is being set up as a world reserve asset. Not something you use to buy bread every day, but something banks hold to back their own digital currencies. If every country launches its own central bank digital currency or stablecoin, they will need one neutral asset to trade between them. They cannot all use the US dollar if they want to be independent. They cannot trust each other's currencies. They need a fast math-based bridge that no single country controls and that has a set supply. XRP fits that perfectly. If central banks start keeping XRP on their balance sheets as a reserve, the idea of a normal person owning even one XRP starts to sound silly. Do you own a real bar of gold sitting in the Federal Reserve? A few people do, but most do not. You might own paper or a tiny piece of an ETF, but the real thing is rare. That is for the builders of the system. Let us look at how this actually happens. It happens through something called ISO 2022. This is the new global standard for how banks send messages to each other. It is like a new language that all the world's banks are starting to use. XRP was one of the first crypto assets to work with ISO 2022. This is not just a small tech detail. It means the XRP ledger can talk straight to the world's banking systems without any problems. When a bank in Tokyo wants to send money to a bank in Brazil, they can use the XRP ledger to do it instantly and easily. Most people are still staring at price charts on their phones wondering why XRP has not jumped 10% today. They are missing that the whole base of global finance is being rebuilt on the very thing they are holding. We know the technology works. We know banks are testing it. We know rules are getting clearer. The only question left is how much of the system will still be open for regular people once everything turns on. To be in the 1% who keep their XRP, you have to change the way you think about money. Most people see crypto as just a way to get more regular dollars, euros, or yen. But the smart ones see old fiat money as a sinking ship and XRP as the lifeboat. If you are waiting for XRP to hit a certain price so you can sell and go back to dollars, you are trading a fixed supply infrastructure asset for something that can be printed forever. The 99% will sell because they are focused on cashing out. The 1% will hold because they know XRP is the final destination. In a world where everything gets turned into tokens, houses, stocks, gold, even your ID, the network that moves those tokens will be the most important thing on the planet. We are getting close to a point where there is no going back. The warning is not about a big crash, it is about getting locked out. One day you might go to your favorite exchange to buy XRP and find there is no liquidity left, or the price spread is so huge it feels impossible, or the exchange might only let you buy tiny fractions because one full XRP is too valuable to trade easily. We have seen this a little with Bitcoin. Most people own only tiny bits called satis, but Bitcoin is mostly just a store of value. XRP is a working tool. The demand from big institutions for that tool will soon be much bigger than what is left for regular buyers. If you are holding XRP right now, you are not just an investor. You are already part of the system before it fully starts. The story of XRP is usually told as ripple against the world, but the real story is the old slow money world against the new fast one. The old world is slow, expensive, and only for a few. The new world on the XRP ledger is fast, cheap, and could become even more closed off once the big players see its power. You still have the chance right now to be in that 1%, but it takes more than just buying a few tokens. It takes really understanding why. You can find that education at places like cheekycool.com and live updates in our Discord. The links are in the description. Because when the 99% finally figure out why they should have owned XRP, it will already be too late. The pipes will be sealed, the oil will be flowing, and the bridge will be shut for anyone who did not cross while the gates were open. The warning is simple. Do not let how easy it is to get XRP today fool you about how rare it could be tomorrow. 100 billion tokens might look like a lot, but in a world with 8 billion people and $400 trillion of total wealth, 100 billion is actually tiny, especially when that tiny amount is the only thing that can make the whole money ocean move. The move from a fun retail guessing game to a serious global standard is the tough, dark time we are in right now. It feels confusing and frustrating on purpose to make you want to quit. But on the other side is a big change that will reshape money forever. The question is not whether XRP will work. The question is, when it does work, will you still be holding your XRP? Or will you be one of the 99% watching from the outside, wondering how you let the future slip away? This is the warning. The rest is up to you. Take time to learn. Stay in the community. And remember that in big money world, the smartest moves happen when nobody is paying attention. Do not be the person who sold the future just to pay for today. The 99% will never own one XRP. It is not a guess that they will fail. It is a guess about how useful XRP will become. And in the world of real value, usefulness is the only thing that lasts. Make sure you are on the right side of this history. We will see you in the Discord. We will see you in the next part of the story. For now, stay sharp, do your own research, and keep watching the pipes, because that is where the real power is. Hit the like button, subscribe, and check out the next video that is coming up. Tutu.